Hi guys, one more Insomnia chat for tonight. Since I just did a video about why I don't do psychic readings, why I don't sell readings, and why I feel a bit withdrawn from certain aspects, even though I still consider myself very spiritual and interested in divination and other things, why I don't participate as much in why I'm not posting readings all the time and why I don't sell them and why I think the market's kind of gotten crazy and corrupt. That was my last video. You can check that out. For this one, I want to talk about a bit, since I talked about that, backing up, okay, so then why do I still believe in twin flames and soulmates, even when there's all this crazy stuff going on in the market? I will just briefly say a few quick things I don't believe. I don't believe in the Twin Flames universe cult. I don't believe that any specific person is rigidly divine masculine or divine feminine. I do think that people will have their soulmate pair, and that these concepts of polarity and elemental stuff and gender have some things to do with everybody's spiritual journey to a point, but the way that it goes about being sold within the ideology, I don't entirely agree with. And I don't believe in like this 10-step program of how you go through the journey, and I don't believe everybody's journey has the same formula, and I also don't believe that a so-called coach or guru can assign your twin flame to you. I think if you're on such a journey, you'll know it, and you won't need somebody else to verify it for you. If you need somebody desperately to verify it for you, you're probably not on such a journey. If you're a person who's just very insecure and you need people to verify a lot of things for you that you shouldn't need somebody else to verify for you, then maybe just learn to check in with yourself really good and listen to your own heart and intuition, and then get back to the question of that. Because no so-called expert should be verifying for you whether or not somebody else has a soul connection with you. Like, you'll know that. So why do I know mine wasn't a gimmick and I wasn't hoodwinked into some system of belief or something, and that my own experiences are real? Well, because I'm the kind of person who's always believed in myself and my own experiences, and not needing other people to narrate my thoughts and beliefs to me. I believed in this strong connection before I even knew the word twin flames. It's just a word that fits well to a point for my dynamic, and that I feel like I share a soul with this person. The person I'm in love with, Ryan. I knew that there was a deep connection since I was a very young child, and since before anybody knew his name publicly. So before I'd ever met him, before I'd ever seen his name or face, I was having dreams about him since I was a very young girl. There was just so many other signs. I have like physical recordings of my phone of a bird tapping on my window in the mornings after I would have a dream about him. So many other weird synchronicities and signs that just kind of prove that there were divine intervention things going on that cannot be explained, except that it's a spiritual phenomenon. And like I said, I've like recorded proof of these things happening, so I know I'm not crazy. It was like the specific bird that kind of followed me around. It would only tap on my window when we were having frequent dreams and we were in contact with each other and talking to each other. So, yeah. That was just one of many, many, many signs, and I'll try to keep this brief because I don't feel like I need to go into every personal detail of my journey for the whole public world. I just want to explain. I kind of want to put this out there for the sake of not upsetting my my twin flame connection by making it seem like I'm just this skeptic who doesn't believe in something. that's clearly very meaningful to both of us. And to just kind of clear the air that this is important to me, but I don't like the way that the market and the public dialogue about this sort of thing goes about it. So yeah, it's not something I usually feel comfortable talking about. I'm probably even going to put TF in the title instead of twin flame, because like I said before, I don't really want the algorithm to send me a bunch of people who believe in the twin flame universe, Sheila and whatever the guy's name is, cult stuff, because I don't like the way they go about this. I don't like the way their followers go about this. I think that this is a journey that each true soulmate pair has to figure out together for themselves, and not with some so-called experts kind of doing something creepy. And again, like I said, there's demonic stuff going on. Like, I feel like the majority of people who sign up with that cult are not really twin flames with whoever they get assigned with, and that the few people who truly are being badly exploited and abused by that system to be kept apart on purpose for these so-called coaches to make as much money off of them as long as they possibly can, to keep them desperate to get back together. Like, you need your coach's help to get back together, and they'll give I've hear things that sound to me like, on a basic, obvious, how to do relationships right way, bad advice that keeps people deliberately apart. So any real soulmates that they're going to are being deliberately kept apart for them to keep making money off of. And then a whole bunch of other people aren't even really soulmates who they've put together with this whole thing. I know for me and my situation that it is a true soulmate connection because of all the reasons I stated. And like I said, words and titles are not the point here. It's just a word that's convenient to use to explain feeling like I share one soul with this person who I love very much. There are some things that people believe about twin flames that I think are kind of true. Like, for example, that twin flames go through this journey together to heal things within themselves and each other and society at large, and that when twin flames work things out together finally and have a harmonious relationship, that it does better the planet in some ways. That's true whether you're in a twin flame relationship or not. When you learn to have a healthy and healing and loving relationship, it's good for the world because you're changing the culture. But I think when twin flames do it, it's kind of guided by God in a way where you have certain themes that you would normally not want to touch, and you're having to heal those things together. So for my twin flame and I, we had very similar, like uncannily similar upbringings, where we had to both deal with some similarly hard things, and we've both been kind of healing through that on our journey. So there is some truth to that, and that's why I think sometimes genuine twin flames will get suckered into the twin flames universe cult, because they'll see those kinds of signs. They'll be like, oh yeah, we're definitely going through that. But then they'll be kept apart and they will not heal the way they need to because they're not listening to themselves and to signs from God. They're listening to a so-called human expert, and that's idolatry, basically. You're idolizing these gurus instead of listening to your heart and soul and to God. So yeah, I do believe in twin flame connections and soulmates. It's not something I like to get into too much on this channel. This may be the only time I ever do a video on it, for the foreseeable future, just because for me that's a personal path, and while I think our healing together as a couple would be beneficial to the planet and what we can do together, whether you're well known or not as a couple, whether you're, the bakers down the street or, high profile politicians or whatever you are, it's not about becoming these cult leaders like Sheila and what's-his-face. It's about healing something and then you send ripples out into the world through that healing together. And you might teach people if you're well known, and that's good too. But it's, it's deeper than that on a spiritual level. It's when you're in a harmonious relationship with the one God intended for you, and you're healing through all these things that God wanted you to figure out together, all of your interactions on a day-to-day basis are going to be filtered through that healed lens, right? You're not going to be taking abuse anymore. You're not going to be putting up with evil things. And you're going to be trying to conduct yourself in such a way that you put good into the world, which you can do whether or not you're on a twin flame journey or not. Everybody should be striving to have that kind of spiritual healing, but I think for some people, we're just designed in such a way where another person is meant to be on that journey with us. And I've kind of, even though that's another reason I know that it wasn't a gimmick for me, is I was never the kind of person to be addicted to love relationships. And like many people who get suckered into this sort of thing when it's not genuine, for me, I know it's genuine because I actually I was single for many years before I felt the call to this and to really pursue this. And the reason I was because I'd kind of given up on the concept of love because of what I dealt with in my family life growing up. And I think he kind of had a similar thing going on for him. And some experiences he had after that, and for me too in my young adulthood. And so I hadn't been with anybody in like 4 or 5 years when I started really pursuing this at that time. And I knew it was coming from a place of, it felt spiritually correct. It felt like something, like we needed to sort something out together. So yeah, that's how I know. And I know a lot of people will think, oh, she's nuts. I don't care. I know my own experience. I know myself pretty well. And I'm figuring out more about myself all the time, but I know my core self pretty well. And I know for me that this is legitimate and genuine, and that for him it's legitimate and genuine. And that I think we've both been given a lot of bad advice over the years about this, either people who don't believe in it at all on the one extreme, or on the other extreme, people who believe in this Jeff, that's his name, Jeff and Sheila cult stuff, where they end up with like a controlling set of advice where they tell you you have to do union in this very formulaic way that cannot possibly be one size fits all, the way they try to make it seem. So, yep. I do think he and I are meant to work things out together. I'm very much in love with him. I believe he is with me too. It's just a matter of, him and I healing things on our own terms. And, yeah. So, and like I said, I felt this connection before I knew the word existed for it, before anybody knew who he was. So, yeah, it's just, and it's something I only pursued in the last 7 years because, it suddenly hit me that the call came to, he and I needed to work this out, that this was not going to subside, that this was this was important. So that's the story there. That's the very abbreviated story without getting into too much private detail.